Thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. More about them later. Miata, for many people, the car. Like it's all that it matters to them. Like it's the only thing that ever existed. But today, I'm gonna be talking about how I have daily driven a Miata for 3 months now. And everything that I learned from it. All right, 1996, 1.8 liter Mazda Miata. So like I say all the time, I have filmed just about every popular car on this planet at this point. For many car journalists around the world, the answer to many people's problems to whatever they wanted to do in the automotive industry was always Miata. So my wife wanted to learn how to drive manual, and I said, what better way to learn how to drive manual than in a Miata? It's a platform that can expand, you can learn on, you can modify, you can progress, you can race them, you can drift them, you can autocross them, you can do just about anything. This one in particular did have hail damage when we first got it, but then we put a carbon fiber hood and a carbon fiber trunk on the back, and it wasn't so bad after that. There's, hail damage here and there, but nothing crazy. But the motor on this is completely bone stock. The coilovers on it are some knockoff coilovers from somewhere. And the interior is actually really well kept, except this car was in a single car accident that deployed the airbag, destroyed the front windshield, and destroyed the really nice Nardi steering wheel that had an airbag in it from the NB Miata. But other than that, the car runs and drives fine, and it feels great. We just had to fix some suspension components and things of that nature. Other than that, my experience driving a Miata every day has been interesting. So why have I been driving a Mazda Miata every day? Well, the reason is because a Nissan Altima, as they like to do, completely totaled my actual daily driver that I had. That daily driver was a supercharged S550 Mustang 10-speed that made 750 wheel horsepower to the tire on 93 pump gas. I loved that car. It's one of my favorite cars I've ever owned, but it hit the car at around 50 or 60 miles an hour to the point that it crumpled in the crash bar and made it a V, and then pulled in the rear quarters, and it was just toast. So naturally I was like, well, Smurf, my 13 Mustang, has like a fuel pump thing going on. Then my other project cars are kind of uncomfortable to drive every day. So then there was this, the Miata. The interior still pretty stock. It feels pretty good to drive. So I'm gonna cover a few things. Comfort, drivability every day, and also just the way it makes you feel. So I'll start with the fun one first. How does it feel to drive a Miata every single day? Well, it's an event. You get in, you got your 5-speed manual transmission, you're gonna be working to get to your destination. Oh yeah, also, this is my studio in a bag camera, and then I just go in here, and I just put it in this footwell, just like this. Go like that. Nice and safe. Yeah, sure, the trunk is whatever, but I need perfect access, so I just, bada bing, bada boom. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, the 1.6 and 1.8 liters in the NA Miatas, the flip-up headlight ones, they don't have a lot of torque, so you need to drive this car fairly hard to get around town. At least in my opinion, if you want the full experience anyway. The transmission stock, the motor stock, it all feels really good, and this is from 1996, so still pretty impressive. See, like coming up to the stoplight, rev match. Yeah, buddy. The first thing you notice when you drive a Miata is the seating position. You feel very one with the car, and that was Mazda's intention, right? Out of all the Miatas that I've driven, even if some are set up badly, they still drive well. I know that sounds very weird, but say you put some janky coilovers on another famous tuner car and it drives like absolute crap. If you put okay coilovers on a Miata, it's still going to drive fairly well, The reason I say, I'm not saying you should buy cheap coilovers, but I'm saying the chassis in the Miata is so good that it makes up for a lot. The 50-50 weight distribution, you feel it everywhere you go. At any point, you can be very, very nimble and feel very in control. I'm currently saving for my next filming trip and also possibly my next project car, so that means I need to be incredibly on top of my expenses. And that's why I would like to thank Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. Rocket Money is the app you need to save more and manage your money better. And one of my favorite things about Rocket Money is that it helps you cancel unwanted subscriptions. You know that one time you needed that one service but you completely forgot to unsubscribe to it and it's just draining you and you don't even realize? Safely and securely, Rocket Money identifies and helps you cancel unwanted subscriptions. And with the app, you can cancel these subscriptions with just a couple of taps. So no need to worry about those customer service calls. And Rocket Money has saved customers up to $740 a year, with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. And Rocket Money can help lower your bills. Simply by uploading a photo of your bill and just tapping a few buttons, Rocket Money will negotiate your bills for you, from internet service to cable and phone bills. So go ahead and take control of your finances today. Go to rocketmoney.com/DudeinBlue and get started for free. The other thing too is that everybody loves you. This was something completely out of my realm that I thought was going to happen. This is a gas station car, aka, you know the stories of people in like exotic cars when they, you know, get gas at the gas station and people come up and be like, hey, I really like your car. Like, this is one of those cars. And I was actually very surprised about that. People come up and ask about it and go, oh my God, like, what year is it? Blah, blah, blah. And my favorite interaction actually happened recently. Was I came into a gas station, went to go get like a Red Bull. I get it, I go to the counter, and the woman at the counter goes, is that your Miata out there? And I thought she was gonna be like, that's a girl's car, right? Like, and like scrutinize me. And she goes, so why are your pop-ups down? Because my headlights were down, they were not up. She goes, you should put those up. And I think it's just because the Miata is so iconic with the headlights up, right? And also the community that I've never even met. So like if I pass another Miata, I am getting flip-ups back, or they flash their lights to try and emulate that they're popping up. So you hit the button, the headlights go up, the headlights go down. So it's funny how it has this sense of community without even really meeting people or talking to them. That was something I noticed. And every drive-thru I go to, people always say something. Every single time. I'm absolutely astonished because this isn't like some crazy kitted out Miata, you know what I mean? It's basically stock. So that was something I did not expect. Also, the speakers in your headrest when you have the radio on, that is something to get used to too, that there's speakers right here and they still work from 1996. Oh yeah, also these tops tear very easily on the window side. I don't have a glass rear windshield and this has already got a tear in it, so that's kind of a bummer. Let's talk about the drivability of it. Okay. The one thing about driving a Miata every day is if you're on a normal road with stoplights, going around town, back roads, things of that nature, you're gonna have a really good time. It's a really nice car to just drive around and enjoy. Getting on the highway though, I'm not a huge fan. One of the reasons is since the airbag's deployed in this thing, I do feel a little vulnerable and I need to replace those. But when an 18-wheeler or semi-truck gets next to you and that air starts moving around, you're like, oh, I'm a little bean. That's all I am, and I could just be clobbered at any moment right now. So that is another thing that took a little bit of getting used to, just being like, remember, people do not see you as well as they did in your other cars. So I will say this, people do not see me as much when it comes to basic traffic. People who see it and like the car say something sometimes, but when it comes to just people not paying attention, you are more vulnerable in a Miata. Basic common sense, but that's a big thing that I've noticed. When you're cruising in the Miata, 5th gear, you're at like 4,000 RPM on the highway. That's not something I really like, and I'm sure that was fixed a lot with the 6-speed later down the road, but I have the 5-speed, right? So it just me, you know, all the way down the highway. So not ideal. Next is reliability. This car in its lifetime, not these 3 months that I've driven it, the timing belt popped off once. But that, you know, whatever, fixed it pretty quickly. The other thing too is that I get a random check engine light that when I scan it, it says something about a clutch switch or something along those lines, but the car drives absolutely normal. So right now it's off. So if you guys are big Miata guys, put in the comment section below what that might be. I'm not an expert. It's not my expert platform. I am much, much better off knowing other platforms, but I'm very much learning a lot about the Miatas. The other thing is the air conditioning. The air conditioning stopped working at one point, but then took a chance yesterday, refilled it again, and now it works, so, okay. I also have to mention the gas mileage is incredible. Do I have a number for you, like miles per gallon? No, but I hardly ever have to fill up this thing. That's what it really feels like. When I get low on this thing, I'm actually surprised. Meanwhile, and on my other project cars, the K-Series cars, the JZ, the Mustangs, all that other stuff, yeah, you're miles per gallon, you're not miles per gallon. Next, I would say is what I call the lost era. And what that is the simplicity of 90s cars and how mechanical they feel. The Miata feels mechanical. This was the first year of OBD2, so just to think about that is pretty crazy. And just the simple satisfaction of turning your blinker on. That's a good click right there. Ah, so good. Also, the headlights. Let's talk about the headlights. So, a Miata is so iconic with its big, giant headlights. Let's be honest, they're giant. But you never realize just how giant they are until you drive one at night. You drive the Miata your very first time and those headlights come up, you're like, oh, it's like that. They look like big sails in the wind. And you're like, okay, do I need to peek around these things? Eventually your brain just kind of tunes it out, right? But it's still a fun experience. On that note, driving a Miata, super fun time, man. It's been a really great experience. Saved me a lot of money driving it around. Gas mileage is good. It's been overall very reliable for a car that's so old. I have not once been called like a hairdresser car or anything like that. I think people really do know how good these cars are, especially if they have driven them. The Miata is a fantastic car. The answer is still Miata for a great first project car and just fun car in general. And that goes all the way up to the ND. They're all really fantastic cars. So, what do you guys think about the Mazda Miata? Would you daily drive one? It has its quirks, but you know, that's why you love them. And on that note, typically upload on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and I will see you guys next time. But take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.